he injured. He out for the season. There go the season. How? If there are 52 other people, all these coaches, my friend is the dog that I went to high school with is the security for the Detroit Lions, the director of security, and how much shit they got to take and do before they go, all these moving pieces. And then what happens? Someone loses, and what they say? Well, the refs. Well, such and such had to do that. Imagine if cardiothoracic surgeons got finished with surgeries and people kept dying. They kept saying, well, the anesthesiologist didn't put them under enough. The nurse, the head charge nurse of the ER room, she didn't tie my thing tight enough. I didn't know I left that glove inside of them, and they should. And then, because if I could get some help in here, if the administrators at the hospital would, you'd be like, I just lost my loved one. I don't give a fuck about what you're talking about. But all of that can take place because of a lack of delegation. Well, if we get some coaches in here, well, if we get some, no, it's too much money on the line. It's too many people that should know how to do their job. It's the same. And the final thing I will say is that the game hasn't changed. They're not running uphill. They're not using a basketball, ain't a hockey puck or nothing. What is it? The same exact thing that can't get done. And the same thing is happening in your life because of this lack of skill set from the people in charge, the lack of real leaders, leading by example, and delegating. It's just rolling downhill everywhere else in the world. Everywhere else. Two people, if you are in an organization, should not change the situation because of bench strength, because of delegation, and because of succession planning. And it doesn't happen. Why? Because it takes working memory. It takes a vast working memory to teach someone else how to do something. First, you have to be technically competent, which is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Then you have to be able to lead by example, communicate effectively. If you don't know, ask questions. And when you start looking at all of that, that's why it's not happening, because of the inability to use the working memory to work day in and day out. That's why delegation is so important. You master it, and then you delegate it down and delegate it down and down. And now you have this very much successful organization, whether it's at your house, in your life, at an organization, your business, or anywhere else. But that takes leading by example. It takes competence. It takes inspecting what you expect, and it takes visualizing your goals. It takes learning to say we. It takes being willing to follow someone else. And number one, most importantly in these that I've gone over, is be the best. Do you actually want to be the best, or do you just want to be first? Or do you just not want to be last? And finally, removing obstacles. Removing obstacles to success. When you lead by example, you can remove obstacles because you've already gone through those obstacles. Most of the challenges that my daughter faces on a day-to-day basis in her business, I've already had a similar experience. So I can say, okay, here's a strategy for that. Here's a strategy for that. And if I haven't, because of my technical competence, I can figure it out faster than her. Here you go. What is it? Okay, this is what you need to do. There have been times, and I know y'all know I can't put shit together, and she'll be over there trying to get it, and then I'll say, let me see it, and then I'll figure that part out. Now I can't finish the rest of the assembly, but I can problem solve like nobody's business because of this hunormic working memory that I have, and that's where problem solving resides in the executive function of your brain. So removing obstacles is also how you lead by example. And if you can't remove obstacles, that means that your working memory is weak, which means that you are not taking in new information. You are not problem solving on a daily basis. You are not decision making on a daily basis. You are not focused on best. And so a little pebble in the street might be enough to throw you off your square. Or it could be a big giant boulder, and you'd be like, okay. And removing obstacles means you might have to go around it. You might have to go through it. You might have to go over it. You might have to dismantle part of it. But that's what removing obstacles is doing. And it's strengthening you for a future event. So if you come up against an obstacle which you perceive as a problem, and you stop and then you just wait and hope it goes away, and then you change directions, you might even turn backwards, you just missed out on skill development. You just missed out on strength training and everything else for your brain. And now, whatever skill you needed to remove that obstacle that you don't have, as we talked about yesterday, you're going to go to the next thing and not have what you need because you didn't take the opportunity to remove the obstacle that is in front of you. And obstacles show up as problems. They show up as shit show palooza. And that's what they're there for. And when you navigate to and through those, you are going to be stronger, better, bigger, badder, bolder, and wiser. Those are the first 8 of how to become leader led. What questions do you have before we move on to the cognitive activities for today?